My name is Cecilia Mañosa Nyblon. I'm an anthropologist, archaeologist, and educator by background, and lead for the University of Exeter One Chance Left poems for COP26, and We Still Have a Chance climate stories for COP27. I'd like to invite you to watch a short 2-minute presentation inspired by our COP27 climate stories to help us imagine new possibilities. Driven by hope for a sustainable, equitable, and beautiful world, in 2020, I brought together an interdisciplinary team of colleagues from science, health, and the arts to intervene in our planetary health emergency. Despite having known of the climate crisis for decades and possessing ever-growing mountains of data, demonstrating its severity, the scale of action necessary to properly address it is still not being taken. The climate crisis is also a crisis of empathy, language, communication, and translation. At the University of Exeter, we have pioneered a new way of communicating climate science that really engages people intellectually and emotionally. Our purpose is to use the platform of COP and other fora to communicate new climate narratives linking science, health, arts, education, and humanities, and to build strategic partnerships to fuel the drive to respond to the call to action among children, young people, policymakers, and the public. So why stories? Stories is the way we make sense of the world, and we heard quite a bit already about how powerful this is. Stories help us empathize. As Brian Eno says, stories matter. They can trap us, but they can also inspire us. The stories we tell shape how we see ourselves and how we see the world. When we see the world differently, we begin behaving differently, living into the new story. The new story becomes an invisible force which pulls us forward. Imagining the future makes it more possible. Yet there is hope because something is happening. There is a coalescence. A different story is rising and ripening. It is a story of who we are as humans, what we are capable of, and how we might work together to reimagine and rebuild our world. It is a story about connection, collaboration, challenge, and joy. So our story is a story of hope, of reappraising now, shifting the perspective so we see the world we are in with new eyes. So one chance left poems for 12 days of COP26, and we still have a chance, 12 climate stories for 12 days of COP between the UK and Egypt, were born and presented at the diplomatic and public spaces at COP and beyond, reaching over 28 million people worldwide. The poems and stories were co-created between climate scientists, health professionals, artists, educators, storytellers, and youth leaders in the UK and Egypt and beyond. The stories connect the local with the global and are the launchpad for adaptation into different creative outputs. The stories and poems act as a catalyst for climate action and solutions to encourage positive behavior change. The creative outputs include digital and printed books, poetry trails in cities connecting different points, recordings by prominent individuals so the messages can travel far and wide, music on Spotify and Bandcamp inspired by the poems, and film. The attractiveness of our work is demonstrated by the partnerships we have established, as well as the external competitive funding to deliver all these creative outputs. And here's a picture of part of the team with one of our partners in British Council in Egypt. We still have a chance has sparked the creation of large-scale public murals as a legacy for Egypt, and one is in the making for Exeter, and this one was created by Egyptian artist Rana Hemdan and sits in Alexandria, encouraging conversations. The stories open dialogue with the schools, non-traditional communities, and the public who engage through storytelling events in English and Arabic, the creation of artwork inspired by the stories, and conversations with experts and the public on the solutions we can take. We already engage with partners in the UK and UAE in a new project for COP28 through poetry, theatre, music, and education to amplify and encourage new narratives and action. As a Greenpeace scientist has shared with us after watching The Earth Turns, inspired by the COP27 climate stories, artists give hope that we can yet make the change needed. Where science hasn't changed minds, art just might. Thank you.